Hello, welcome to my first video of many. This channel is going to be a tutorial based channel, usually on just Unreal Engine stuff, maybe a bit of Blender if I need to. So yeah, in this video I'm gonna do a series on how to, I'm gonna start a series on how to make a Finance at Freddy's inspired game in Unreal Engine. So obviously first you're going to need Epic Games Launcher to launch the engine. Once you have the launcher, just go to the Unreal Engine tab and go to library here and then press this plus sign. You can choose like quite literally any version of the engine, because for this tutorial I'm going to be using an old version that will apply for literally anyone. There's always forwards compatibility between the engine versions, usually. So, and I just like the old versions. I recommend that you try use an old, if this is your first time using Unreal Engine, you should try and use an old version as well, because this gives you more of an idea of how the games actually work. Unreal Engine 5 is a bit bombastic for our purposes. So yeah, just wait for it to, just press this plus sign, choose any version, press install, wait for it to be finished, and then press launch when it's done. But I'm going to use this shortcut here because it's my pre-compiled version of it. Unreal Engine 4.4, which is pretty old. It's from 2014. So, new project. I'm going to create a blank project just so I can show you guys exactly how to do everything that you might want. And just to preface, this is going to be a first-person horror game we're making because of the, Unreal Engine and everything. I'm not going to include starter content because I just don't want it. New project. Yeah, here. I'm going to call it Fnaf tutorial. Great project. Okay. Your windows will probably look a bit different to mine, so I'm just going to move this down here just for the sake of this series. We want a general premise of what the game's going to be. So before you even start watching this video, you should definitely just consider what sort of game you want to make. Obviously, if you clicked on this, you want to make a Finance at Freddy's game. I recommend just sitting on Notepad for a little while and just writing down cool ideas that you have that you believe are totally unique. And then that's usually good enough for a fan game, at least. And once you've done that, you can continue watching this video and I'll show you how to just get the basic Finance at Freddy's specific things down and ready to play test. Unless if you just want to follow along, just actually learn how to make the engine in a Finance at Freddy's horror game sort of context, you can just continue watching now. First of all, we have to set the project up ready for us to start working. So first of all, I'm gonna set up the folders. We want blueprints, because that's what we'll be programming with. We want materials, because that's what we'll be applying to our surfaces. And then we want meshes. This will include skeletal and static. Okay. Now, this part, there'll be some differences with my project. You don't have to do this. I'm just gonna save all content. Just ignore what I'm doing, unless if you're using the same engine version as me, this is going to be totally different for you. We'll just call it, we'll make this the main map. So, depending on your project settings, when you made it, this level will look different for you. So, first of all, we want a player to be able to move around our level in first person. But we have nothing in this project so far, so I have to start that from basically scratch. So we need to define some inputs for the engine to pick up on from our keyboard and mouse. So we'll go to Edit, Project Settings. This will probably look different for you. Input, Action Mappings here under Bindings. So press the plus, expand it, and we want 4 of these for movement, for our movement inputs. And we're going to expand them all. The first one will be move forward, back. Second one will be move right, left. This third one will be turn horizontal. Fourth one will be turn vertical. If you've already created a level, or you haven't yet, just press save and it should pop up with a window to save the level, and just put it anywhere. And name it something reasonable. And once you've done that, and this, which I'll continue doing here. So the first one will be forward, back, right, left, turning horizontal, and turning vertical. Oh guys, I've made an error that I didn't think I'd make ever. But I've put this under action mappings when I should have put them all under axis mappings. Like a total idiot. Let me quickly fix this. Okay. Now, once that's done, hopefully you didn't make the same mistake. Go to your turn vertical and your mouse Y and make the scale -1. And make the scale for A -1. The scale for S -1. I'll tell you why we do that in a bit. And after that, go to Maps and Modes. Set your game default map to the map you created. This will look a bit different to you, but it'll have the same label. Game default map and editor startup map. This will just help you whenever you open the project. Okay. Now, once that's done, we are ready to start programming the player. So I'm going to our blueprints folder, make a new folder called player, create a new blueprint, and then we want okay, this will be a simple project. We want a first person, actually no, we'll make our naming scheme, BP, underscore first person character. And we'll create another blueprint. BP underscore first person game mode. And another blueprint. Game mode. Make sure it says game mode, not game mode base, alright? Then create a new one of these under custom classes. Call it BP underscore first person game mode. Wait, no. I called this, whoops. This is meant to be player controller. Save all. We're gonna go into game mode. Go to defaults. The default pawn will be the first person character. Default player controller will be the one we just made. Cool. And when that's done, we can open our character. Right click. Make sure you're in the graph over here, event graph. Right click. Move forward back. This is the input value we had created. And after that, we'll drag off, move forward back and add movement input. Target will be self. Axis value will go into scale value, which is why we had to set those values as -1, because that way we don't need a separate axis for moving backwards. We can just have the same mapping have two values, and the scale will be -1 for S, meaning that the trajectory will be multiplied by -1, moving in the opposite direction of the vector we select, which will be forward. So we'll get forward vector. Make sure it's get actor forward vector. This is a first person game. Then in the world settings here, it should be here for you by default. If not, just go up here, world settings, and make the game mode override first person game mode, the one we made. Now, when we play, should be able to move forward and back. So the way I do it is I press this drop down and then new editor window. So you can see here we can move forward and back, but no, nothing else. And now you don't have to press that drop down. Now you can, it would always make this window, and then you can scale it however you want. Close it, and then it'll be in the same position, but not the same scale, unfortunately. So that's done. We can do the other axis. Copy this. This time we do the right vector, get actor right vector, world direction. And this one makes sense because right is the default value of the axis mapping, meaning that it's the scale value was 1 when we're pressing D and -1 when we're pressing A, because we're moving in the direction of the right vector. Which is perfect. Now we need the mouse. So turn horizontal. Turn vertical. So there's for some reason this uses aircraft terminology, aerospace terminology. So horizontal is your input, and vertical is pitch. Don't ask me why. It was a weird decision by Epic. I think this terminology, like, it originates from the Kismet library of Unreal Engine 3. Which is probably why it's a little bit awkward sounding. Okay, now it's done. We can perfectly control our little character. What you might notice is that we're pretty short, which is totally unrealistic. That's because our camera is coming out of the center of this capsule. Not so much the arrow here. In the components viewport. This might be called viewport for you. in the, you see the capsule, our camera is coming out of this arrow, which is not correct. We want it to come from like the eye line, which is about this ring. So yeah, this arrow just tells you which way is forward, by the way. I'm just going to do this correctly from the get-go. We're going to add a component called a spring arm. It might be called something different for you. If you can't find the spring arm component, just ignore this step. We'll call it first person spring arm. And then this is where you have to continue from if you couldn't find the spring arm. We'll add just a regular camera. We'll attach it by dragging it and then dropping it on top of the spring arm. The camera will be called first person camera. And then this is important. Click on the spring arm, or if you couldn't find it, the camera. And then select use, whatever that says, hang on. Yeah, use controller view rotation. Enable that. And make sure if you have the camera, if you have the spring arm, make sure it's disabled on the camera. Yeah, make sure this is disabled on the camera if you have a spring arm. But if you don't have a spring arm, make sure it's enabled on the camera. Now, what you do after that is you click on the camera. Make sure the location is 0, 0. Make sure all of these are zeros, except for the scale. Then you select the spring arm. Make the arm length 0. And then move it up. If you can't see these arrows here, make sure you have this selected. And move it about where the eyes would be on this capsule. Compile, save. Do one more thing. Enable camera rotation lag on the spring arm here. Check that, and then make this value something like 25. Compile, save. So that works. Now we're a bit taller looking. And you'll notice that the camera, the camera has a bit of a delay slash smoothing effect on it, so it's not so clunky feeling. It's a little bit smoother. All right. And I think that's going to conclude this episode. I'm going to keep it around 20 minutes for each of them. So I'll see you on the next one.